From a gunfire and car chase to elephants and zebras parading through the tunnel, we're here to share secrets of one of the busiest roadways in America. Today, we're traveling 97 feet under the Hudson River on our way to New York City. The Lincoln Tunnel links Weehawken, New Jersey to Midtown Manhattan. This 1.5-mile long tunnel, named after our 16th president, began construction in 1934 and was officially opened to the public in December 1937. When the Lincoln Tunnel opened, there was only one tube for traffic. Shortly after, a second tube was added, followed by a third tube in the 1950s. To this day, the Lincoln Tunnel connects thousands of commuters to New York City every day, and being as it's one of the busiest roadways in America, the tunnel sees upwards of 120,000 cars daily. As of 2022, the fare to cross the Hudson into New York City is $16, which is quite a bit of a spike from the original 50 cents in 1937. It's a good thing you only need to pay the fare once as you head eastbound into the city. Building this tunnel was certainly not a task for the faint of heart, and there was a high turnover of workers. Tunnels had to be dug out to fit the 1.5-mile tube, so workers, known as sandhogs, had to use a number of airlocks to depressurize and repressurize their bodies while entering a new section of the tunnel. This led to a lot of the workers getting decompression sickness, more commonly known as the bends. When they weren't working, the tunnel workers were sometimes found collapsed on the street and some even arrested for drunken disorderly behavior. However, what they were actually dealing with was the decompression syndrome. So workers often wore metal badges that said, "Do not send to the hospital," in case they were found in such a predicament. Sadly, 15 workers died during the construction of the first two tunnels related to various working conditions. When the tunnel first opened, a man named Omero Catan, most famously known as Mr. First, was the very first person to cross through the tunnel. This man earned his nickname by attending many of New York's famous grand openings. He was also the first to cross the George Washington Bridge in 1931, the first to use the 8th Avenue subway, and the first to skate in Rockefeller Plaza. In 1953, the Lincoln Tunnel was the scene of a car chase as two men who attempted to rob a home in South Orange, New Jersey, escaped into the Lincoln Tunnel. The culprits, Peter Simon and John Metcalf, swerved around vehicles firing shots at police. 28 shots in total were fired, and the driver, Peter Simon, was fatally wounded. The railings you see on the side of the tunnels aren't just for show or for pedestrians. Up until the 1950s, transit authorities used catwalk cars to monitor traffic in the tunnel. Speaking of pedestrians are not allowed to cross through the tunnel. However, sometimes the tunnel will shut down for special events. The Lincoln Tunnel Challenge is one such event featuring a 5K race through the tunnel from Weehawken to New York City and back again. As many as 3,000 runners show up to participate in the challenge, raising funds for Special Olympics New Jersey. Humans haven't been the only ones to run through the tunnel. In 1971, circus performers and animals from the greatest show on earth were stranded in the tunnel due to the rail workers' strike. The circus was set for that night at Madison Square Garden 5 miles away. While many of the caravans were able to make the journey via other modes of transportation, 19 elephants, a zebra, a llama, and a pony made their way through the tunnel on foot, and the show was able to go on as scheduled. While driving through the tunnel, one can't help but sometimes wonder what would happen if the tunnel starts leaking. Back in 2020, a commuter posted a video of water flooding into the tunnel. That must have been quite a terrifying sight to see, but the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey says it was not the Hudson River leaking in. Rather, it was a water main that ruptured. Still, not comforting to see water flooding into an enclosed tunnel. Rest assured, it is unlikely for the Hudson River to leak into the tunnel, as the tunnel is continuously maintained. Thanks for joining us on our drive through the Lincoln Tunnel. Please don't forget to like and follow us. We'll see you on our next adventure.